It has been a minute. So I have been in the trenches, and I can officially say that I finished my second book about Rockefeller Records. So hold your applause. That's what I've been doing. I know I have been a little bit away from this channel, but I am back now for now. And there's just so much going on in hip hop. And, what better way to jump right into it than another Drake story. And this time specifically, it's Drake against the hip hop media, or what he calls story journalists. Let's get into it. Drake doesn't do a lot of interviews, but I feel every time he does, it's just another L. So this time, Drake sat down again with TikTok influencer and personality Bobbi Althoff for her Not This Again show. I have to look over because I know the name of it. And I'm going to be honest, I did not watch the whole interview. I'm not giving either of them those, sweet, sweet clicks. But to me, what was very interesting, the quote that I think meant the most to me and, maybe triggered some journalists to say something, which I love, is Drake talking about journalists specifically and what he feels is criticism for how he decides to move in the media. As you can imagine, this interview, it's what you expect from Drake. It's kind of borderline creepy. The artist, who's like, I don't know, like 38, 39 years old, is like cozying up on pillows, sitting next to the host. The tone feels like just him mansplaining and telling her how great he is the whole time, almost like you should be so honored that I'm doing your show. But that seems to be their dynamic. A lot of people know this woman because she went viral the first time around with Drake's interview. So I think they're sort of quid pro quo is this kind of dynamic. But this is what Drake said when he was talking about the feedback that he got from how he deals in the media. It pissed off like so many, all of these fucking losers, these like story journalists, like this guy and that guy who feel so entitled to this interview. And Drake never does anything for this type of media. He means hip hop media. And it just made people so angry. And then he kind of goes on talking about him and her and some energy they have. Like, who cares? So, really, the heart of this matter, Drake is still salty about the media and specifically hip hop media. We've talked about this on earlier videos where we broke down the Kendrick Lamar and Drake battle. And I said, like, Drake has been used to being an industry darling for so long, and hip hop media, and I will take my responsibility in that as well. We really did hype him up very early on in his career, and he was getting cover stories, he was getting opportunities that he may or may not have been justified in getting. And because of that, Drake has always been fast tracked by hip hop media and also protected. We have to remember, Drake and his team used to aggressively like pitch the media. You would actually be able to hit them on like MySpace or on their old blog spot and get a response. Like he wanted to make friends with places like Vibe, The Source, Double XL, of course Hot 97. Like these were those sort of hip hop check marks that Drake really valued. Once he got them, once he got the big cover story, once he got what he felt was sort of like the top of the mountain, he was on to the next. And like so many artists, he started following more so called mainstream press. But I don't know if many of you remember back in 2014, Drake was supposed to get the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and unfortunately, actor Philip Seymour Hoffman passed away tragically and very suddenly, so they gave him, understandably, the cover. And Drake went full tantrum, like he felt he deserved it, and he really kind of showed himself in this negative light. I believe at the time his PR team even like, severed ties with him. Like it was just a bad look all around, not just as an artist, but even just as a good sport. Like this tragedy has happened. And instead of giving props to this icon, and especially Drake being an actor himself, you would think he would respect someone as giant as a Philip Seymour Hoffman. He threw a tantrum that, he deserves a cover pretty early on. And what Drake doesn't realize, there's some rappers, incredible rappers, they've never gotten the cover of Rolling Stone. They will never get the cover of Rolling Stone. But this one sort of hiccup happens, and all of a sudden, he's not fucking with the media. So, if you've noticed, Drake is very curated. Although in this interview he mentions the media being too curated, he is the epitome of that. He is someone who will only go on platforms that will pretty much guarantee that they're fans of his. So, that means softball questions. If he doesn't have final edit, he probably is pretty close to that. And the dynamic, the power dynamic, is very much in his favor. And I think for him doing Bobbi Althoff's podcast, it's a perfect place for him. She's not going to put anything out there that makes Drake look bad. I'm sure that he and his team probably watched the video before she uploaded it. It's almost like he's an integral part of this interview. And because of that, she's going to softball him. Everything's going to be about him in a positive light. And I think what's really important to talk about is this idea of critique. So many times now, especially when we look at the media, whether it be music, politics, sports, any type of place, critique is viewed in a negative manner. It's like critique equals hating. But in fact, the best critics, they come from a place of love. The reason so many of us wanted to be hip hop journalists is because we love hip hop. We love this rap shit. We want to talk about lyrics and beats and, go into the poetry of it all. We love talking to artists, getting inside their mind, their personality, maybe giving them some more dimension and more nuance than just like the average fan would be getting listening to their records. But somewhere along the line, any type of criticism, even if it came from a good place, a constructive place, a loving place, it equals hating. And so many artists and celebrities, they just can't, take the heat, so to speak. So it's so much easier to surround yourself with sycophants, surround yourself on platforms that are essentially there to be your press release. And I'm going to be honest, as a journalist, as a fan, as somebody in the industry, most interviews are really boring. And let me know in the comments if you feel that way. But I just find most interviews nowadays to basically be, the same three talking points. It's all about getting this viral soundbite. I'm not getting any sort of depth or nuance or something different. Like, it's very rare I watch an interview and I leave being like, wow, that really changed my mind about something, or I have a newfound respect for the artist. And there was a time that was the case. Even if you weren't a fan of an artist, you might read a profile in Rolling Stone or Vibe or The Source, and you left thinking, all right, maybe I will go listen to their record. Or maybe I just have a newfound respect for them, or I'm viewing them through a different lens. And I think that's just missing in the game. So many people talk about why we no longer have new superstars. Like, the superstars out now have been around for a long time. And I think a big reason is just their relationship to the media or lack thereof. That's not to say you can't sit down with a streamer or have your own, podcast or platform. Absolutely. I mean, look, I'm talking to you from my YouTube channel, so I get it. But I think there's such a dearth and a need for long form journalism, conversations with people who are actually knowledge experts, people who understand hip hop beyond just, what happened in the last 5 years, or who don't just contextualize music and culture through streams and followers and Billboard numbers. Like, that's so important. And I think for someone like Drake, who I believe his credibility and legacy have really been impacted hard by not just the Kendrick battle, but just the way he's been moving in this game. See my video with the Universal lawsuit for further proof. I think Drake would so benefit from sitting down with like a grown ass journalist, not someone on his payroll, not someone who wants to be his friend, not someone who's trying to date him or, be his buddy or be an OVO. Like, talk to someone who knows their shit. And I think that would show such a respect, and it shows that he's able to stand up and talk to his critics and maybe even explain himself in a way that goes kind of beyond just what we're seeing now. Because right now, the optics are Drake is running away from hip hop. He's decided that we've written him off. And because of that, he's taking his biggest asset, which he believes is, him doing an interview with somebody and going elsewhere. And I just wonder, all of those like podcast bros, like during the battle, who are so hard standing for Drake, coming after people like myself and other critics, trying to, harangue us and make fun of us and all these things. Look where your man went when he had to do an interview. He did not come and sit down with you. He went to someone completely outside because it's very clear Drake doesn't want hip hop's adoration. He's looking at like the 17-year-old boy. He's trying to go after, I don't know, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Like in his mind, he's trying to stay relevant in those rooms. So I'm going to watch how these sort of hip hop podcasts, the one who were so like hardcore Drake, I'm very interested how and if they change their narrative moving forward. But what do you think about all this? What do you think about Drake, arguably one of the biggest hip hop artists in the world? What do you feel about him essentially going to non hip hop outlets? How do you feel about him degrading hip hop journalists? The same journalists that he wanted so desperately to co sign him not that long ago. What's your take on all this? And also, what do you think is the consequence of this? Because, Drake has already got his success and his money and all of those things, his hits. But how does this affect the next generation? Does this mean that hip hop media and hip hop journalism is about to be extinct? Or maybe we're going to enter a new era where because things have gone so far left, they got to get pulled back. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments.